Hi, and welcome to Prescott Farm. My name is Jake, and I'm the camp director here, and today we are going to put on some snowshoes. Okay, so before we go outside, you're going to want to make sure you have a good pair of boots. Preferably, if you're going to be going in the snow, they should either dry very fast or should be waterproof. We'll only be out usually for a couple of hours, so one pair of good wool socks will also be an important feature. So our snowshoes, most of the ones we carry are symmetrical, which means you don't need to put them on a particular foot. Some of them are, and if you see a small L or a small letter R on the foot pad of the snowshoe, then that'll go on the appropriate left or right foot. To put the snowshoe on is quite simple. First, we'll loosen all the straps to make sure that we can get all of our foot in there, for those of us that have particularly large feet. And then you'll place your toe onto the foot pad, and make sure that you don't push your foot so far along that it interferes with the decking when you lift it up. You don't want your toe to be snagging on the deck of the snowshoes. So try to center your foot as best you can on the snowshoes, and you'll tighten the toes straps first. To do that, you'll lift up on the straps, away from the shoe itself, and then pull the two straps away from each other. And this will tighten your shoe. They have handy dandy buckles to snap and get the extra strap out of the way. The next part will be to do the heel. Sometimes you end up standing on it, so make sure that you lift your foot up in case it's stuck, and then you'll simply pull the black strap to tighten, and then push down on this great clasp to lock it. Some of our snowshoes will have additional instep straps over the top. Do those last. And when you pick up your foot, it should free float and feel comfortable and firm. Not so tight that it's constricting your foot, just enough to hold onto the boot itself. So, before we put our snowshoes on, please remember not to put the snowshoes on inside the building. This both damages our soft pine floors and also blunts the spikes on the bottom of the snowshoes. To put them on outside is the same. Again, in this particular case, it doesn't matter which foot they go on. So, I'll do one at a time. Make sure all my straps are loose. Put my toe in the toe box, lift up my heel to get the heel strap so I'm not standing on it, and then bending over and adjusting my foot so it's central, I lift up and then pull apart and clip these to get them out of the way. If you have excess, or there's a lot of excess, like my shoe's quite small, sometimes you can fit them around the back like this, which you can do if you want to get it out of the way. And then, again, simply pulling on the black strap here to tighten and pushing down on the gray button to lock it in. I lift up my foot. Got plenty of space here to move. And it's not at any risk of coming off my foot. And just do the same thing again with the second. Right, if you have a hard time balancing while doing this, there are plenty of railings, trees even, and of course building to hold on to. Heel strap tightened, gray button locked down, and away we go. Your snowshoes should be of such a size that you don't sink in all the way into the snow. This will matter less if there's less snow and also if the snowpack is wetter and denser. But if you are a bigger person or are carrying a lot of gear, you will obviously need a bigger pair of snowshoes. Walking in snowshoes is just like walking, but clumsier. In this case, the snowshoes are quite small, so I have no issue walking normally with a little bit of a heel drag as the snowshoe naturally wants to lift away. The lighter the snowshoes are, the less you'll feel the dragging motion on top of the snowshoes. And the hardest thing that people have a time with is either turning sharply to side or going backwards. In this case, turning, you can do it by taking several short, small steps and shuffling. Alternatively, you can take one big step and turn that way as well, depending on how comfortable and flexible you are. If you need to go backwards, you'll notice if I want to step right back, the heel is naturally going to want to drag into the ground and maybe trip me. So if you're wearing very, very long snowshoes, this can be difficult, or if you're new. But you can just take a really big step and try to put your toe down first and then lean back onto it. If there's deeper snow, it's much more of an issue. So if I try to step backwards here, I really have to be conscious to not get my heel of the snowshoe stuck in the snow. If you have a stick, which I don't have, but you can press on the front of your snowshoe and lift it backwards and away from you to keep the heel of your snowshoe up. So walking up and down hills can be tricky, especially in this case where instead of having a hard pack of snow, we've got a lot of dry, powdery, very slippery snow. But walking uphill is probably the easier of the two. When you lift up your foot, make sure you're pointing your toe down uphill with the way you want to go, so you're stepping with your toe in first. So that's really going to let the crampons on the bottom of your snowshoes bite into the ground. And if it's being really slippery, sometimes you can give a little wiggle to make sure that you're packing down a little bit of snow for something for your snowshoes to grip onto. And away you go. Going down is everything in reverse. I like to lean just a little bit back, especially when it's slippery, because your snowshoes are going to have a tendency to slide a little as you go. So I just lean back a little bit and let gravity do most of the work. Making sure that my heels are pressed back so that they drag snow behind them, which also keeps you from sliding quickly down the hill. Instead, your heels act as kind of a snow brake as you move down the hill. And obviously on our paths and trails where snow gets packed down a little more and maybe ices over and freezes, provides a lot more traction and gives you a lot more stability to work with on the snowshoes. But in fresh, deep snow, which is often the most fun and rewarding to snowshoe and is also usually the most work. But once you pack down a trail, you have a nice, easy way to snowshoe around the property.